Yeah, we going live.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Happy Thursday. We're bringing you June 6th edition of Reliable Representation. We want to welcome each of you to our show where Representative Fabian Nelson of Mississippi House District 66 is out of state doing some county business, but as well as he will join in shortly with us. So we definitely want you all to listen in for him. Well, actually, he's ready now. Turn it over to Reliable Representation host, Mr. Fabian Nelson.
All right. Thank you so much for that warm introduction. Can y'all hear me loud and clear over there, or is it a little hard to hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you as well.
All right, that sounds great. Well, it is so great to be here on this show again. As always, we always have a great time, and we have a very exciting show this evening. We have a very special guest, Mr. George Stewart, who is running for Hinds County School District School Board, and we are going to, let him take it away in just a minute. But y'all know I got to give my little spiel first and kind of let y'all know a little bit what's going on with me. So, Ms. Brittany Bowman, can you tell everybody where I am and what I've been doing?
I think you'll do that job better. So tell everyone where you are and how long you'll be away.
Oh, when I tell you that lady mouth is so smart over there. Well, everybody, I am currently in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So I am here at Harvard University at the Harvard Kennedy School. And I am here in a program where I am working, I'm doing an executive leadership in state and local government here at this prestigious college. And it has been a lot of fun. There are about 64 of us, and some of my classmates are going to be tuning in. I just sent them the link. And so it's about 64 of us in this program. And, we have other representatives, legislators, we have a judge, we have police chief, fire chiefs, people that deal in county administration. So we just have a lot of leaders here, and it's been a really good program because we're able to really build off of each other and grow and see things from a different perspective. And so it's been interesting, attending this program. And what I really, I guess what I really want to hone in on is we're going to talk, because what the conversation that is going to be leading to, we're going to be talking about people that are running for office. Also, what we're going to be talking about is when people win, what are you doing to make yourself better for your constituents? And I have to be transparent. When I ran for office, I didn't have any political experience. I was a real estate broker. I've always advocated for people and issues, but as far as the policy-making piece of it, I didn't know anything. So I had a lot of learning to do. And so the people of District 66 saw fit to elect me to office. And I went in there and I hit the ground running, and I learned everything I could from other representatives and other people in government. But I said, that's not enough. I need to do something more so that I'm able to really be, I want to get better. I had a good session this year, but I want next year to be even better. And so that's what, made me pursue this opportunity to come to Harvard and get a little bit of more education around the policy making piece. Because when we look at the areas I represent, Jackson, for instance, we got a lot of policy work we can do in Jackson. Byram, it's a great city, but guess what? It's a growing city. And with it being a growing city, we have a lot of policy work that we need to get done so that we can grow in the right direction. So this is coming here so I can understand the language, the resources, have people that I'm able to, reach out to, network with. And the thing about Harvard, it's mind-blowing, because you never know who's going to walk in their door and, come and teach classes. Like we had a professor today. She was a former editor for a big publication. She's on staff at Harvard. So we just have amazing people here teaching us some amazing things. And it's good to see how things are working in other parts of the state. And so that's one thing that I want to put out there about people that run for office and win office. You need to ask people when they're running for office, what's your plan when you're elected? Are you going to just become elected and just sit stagnant, or are you going to continue to want to grow yourself and improve your community? Now, the second thing that I want to put out there, and I'm going to pick on George right now with this one. When you see a person that's out there running for office, if you see someone that's starting early, if you see someone that's out there in the community, that's a good indicator of what type of person they're going to be if they're elected. Because when you're running for office, you're not making any money. You're not getting paid. Actually, you're losing money because you got to take off of work. You got to fundraise. And I'm just going to be honest with you, Hinds County, y'all are stingy. Y'all don't like to donate money to campaigns. And so, you're out there trying to fundraise. And so a person that's out there on the go, putting their own resources into the campaign, they're starting early, they're everywhere. That's a good indicator of what type of person they're going to be when they serve. And I can say this from experience because I worked very hard for a year leading up to my campaign and to my election. I worked hard. And once I won, guess what I said? I said, what next? I worked so hard that I gotta serve the people, because if I don't serve the people, I'm not doing myself justice, because I worked hard for this position that I said I wanted, and here I am not doing anything. So we gotta stop paying attention to people that come in at the last minute, want to run around out there and campaign a little bit, because when we get there, what they're going to do is they'll do that. They'll get in office. They're not going to do anything the whole 3.5 years in office. So their whole 3 years and 6 months in office, and the last 3 years and 9 months in office, because that last 3 months leading up to their election, they're going to be out there saying, hey, please come out and vote for me. When you are an incumbent, and I told everybody this, I said, y'all see me on your doors now campaigning. When I run for re-election, I'm going to let y'all know I'm not doing all of this, because I'm going to be active in the community and I'm going to be serving the community. And when it comes time when my name hits that ballot, it's going to be a no-brainer that we need Fabian Nelson back in office again. So you got to keep on doing the work. And when you see a candidate, and with George, I see him everywhere. George is in more places than I am. So that's a good sign. I want to support someone that I see out there working, because this is like a brotherhood. It's like a fraternity. When you get out here and you see somebody that's working as hard as you did, and you see that passion, you know that person is not going to let you down when they get in office. And Ms. Brittany, I'm going to put my 2 cents in. I'm going to turn it back over to you. The pastor's resting.
Well, we do want to thank you, Representative Nelson, for calling in today, sharing your experience, what you're doing out of state. We'll say that, away from Hinds County. We definitely want to support Mr. George in his future endeavors of soon becoming our representative, our voice for Hinds County School Board. So if you don't have anything else, I guess we'll shift it over to Mr. George and let him tell us a little bit about some information that he was sharing with me that I was unaware of. And I definitely want the listeners to know about how the policy, the procedures, the logistics of running for office really works, because they're so different, many levels to running for office that a lot of us are unaware of. So we'll shift it over to Mr. George.
Great. Thank you, Brittany. And thank you again, Representative Nelson, for giving me this opportunity to speak to your audience regarding this. And so I was just speaking with Brittany earlier, talking about the logistics as far as running for office, particularly running for school board. And so it's a little bit different than, running for, other offices, in that to run for school board, you need to actually get a petition signed to actually get on the ballot. And so that's one of the things that's very interesting, things that a lot of people really don't necessarily know. And so when you see me out there in your communities, just know that I need you all to please sign my petition. But it can't just, as I mentioned earlier, it can't just be anybody that signs a petition. It has to be somebody that actually lives in Hinds County School Board 3. And so that's kind of the confusion as well, because it's difficult right now to find a map, particularly for Hinds County School Board. Well, actually the Hinds County School Board districts in general. And so that's the challenge I'm coming up against right now, is actually finding what that map looks like. But to not fret, I do have some addresses and street names and things like that, so I know where to go. And I at least know the general vicinity in which to go to get those petitions. So again, when you see me out there in your community, please know I need you all to sign my petition. Please actually get me on the ballot, because I'm campaigning right now. But the next phase of the campaign is to actually get me on the actual ballot. And in order for me to do that, I need those that live in Hinds County School Board District 3 to actually sign my petition to do that. And so also, while I'm out there in the community, another thing that's interesting is that a lot of people don't know that you can actually run for the school board in Hinds County. A lot of people assume that it's appointed, or they're just not really quite sure how the school board is made up. And so I do want to let others know that may be interested in pursuing running for Hinds County School Board, that you can apply, but you can, actually run for that position. It is an elected office, so I want people to know that. And for me, I'm a resource. I don't believe in getting information and hoarding information. I believe that once I get information, because truth be told, this is my first time also running for office. And so my first time in particularly running for Hinds County School Board, or school board in general. And so I'm learning a lot, I'm getting a lot of information, and I believe in sharing the information, sharing resources. And so, you can reach out to me, those that may be interested. There are some other seats coming up next year and so on. And so if you live in that particular district, just if you need some help or some assistance and want to know how to actually go through this process, I'm an open book. And so that's just like my tidbit. Oh, and I will add too, if you're not really quite sure, if you live in Hinds County School Board District 3, your school board seat or your school board representative is on your actual voter registration card.
Okay.
Or if you don't have your voter registration card, you can also call into the Hinds County Circuit Clerk's office and give them your address, and they can let you know what school board district you're in. So there are some people that don't necessarily know who their representative is, which I think is also something that needs to change as well. We definitely need our school board members out there in the community, letting people know who they are and who they represent. And so with me, you definitely have somebody who will definitely be out in the community, as Fabian mentioned, and he was talking about me, but I think he's out there way more than I am. And so, but I just want to let people know that I'm out here. I have a passion for kids. I have a heart for kids. I want to make sure, or help make sure, that Hinds County is one of the best school districts in the state of Mississippi. I want to help make sure that Hinds County is a place that all children can succeed, where all children can realize their true potential. I just want to make sure that it's a place that educators can come and stay for a while. We have far too many educators come into our school districts, into our schools, and because for whatever reason, sometimes they don't feel supported, they often leave and go somewhere else. And so I want Hinds County to be a place where teachers can come in and just know that they have a place, a home, somebody that can come in and just wrap their arms around them and treat them like family, and know that they are welcome here and that they are being supported. And hopefully that will help them maintain their position within our schools and stay in Hinds County School Districts, teaching our babies for a long period of time.
Okay, great. That sounds very well, Mr. George. Now, let me ask this question as it relates to school boards, just because we would just want to recap. Some listeners may not have heard us
Sure.
several Thursdays ago when we spoke about it. So tell us exactly what is the role of a school board member?
Sure. The role of a school board member is actually quite broad, in that
Okay.
it provides oversight to the district. So it's that body, that governmental body that provides that oversight, whether it be transportation, whether it be maintenance, instruction, administration. The board provides oversight, but also most importantly, they approve policies that are supposed to be in the best interest of our students. So that could be approving of. So one of the main roles is actually approving the superintendent. That's major. Who leads our school district is very important. And so the board is tasked with the job of approving and selecting our school board. Selecting our superintendent. They are also tasked with approving policies that are supposed to be in the best interest, as I mentioned, whether it be instruction, whether it be materials, different types of things. So they approve policies and resources that are supposed to be in the best interest of our children. And again, they provide that oversight over the district as well. And they should also be somebody that advocates on behalf of those that we represent. And for me, I come from an advocacy background, an organizing background. So with me, you would definitely have somebody on the board that provides that advocacy, that brings that advocacy experience to the board. And they should be a wealth of knowledge and a resource to the community. A school board members should also be out in the community, being the constituents, and just really providing that resource and let people know what's going on. That's one of the things that I would say that has been an issue that has been brought to me, that there was a breakdown in the communication as to what was going on in the schools. And so people just didn't know what the district was doing. There was a breakdown in communication. And so what school board members should also do is be a bridge between the district and the community. And so that's something that I want to bring to the board, somebody that will be that bridge builder and let people know. And as I said last time, you have somebody in me who has been committed to at least once a month spend time in at least one part of the county, educating constituents as well as getting feedback as to what direction the school board or school district should be moving in. And so I consider myself a bridge builder, a resource giver, and so I just look forward to bringing that to the board.
Okay, great. So I heard several things that you mentioned that I want to go back and let us break down. And one of the first things was let me go back. One of the first things I want to say, electing our superintendent. And that has a great big deal of which direction our district goes in. And so I think in totality in Mississippi, we are definitely lacking that. The resources, not only the resources, the right people at the table to make certain that we are electing someone that has or that shows empathy. Because empathy goes for our children as well as our educators.
That's
Because
right.
it's a dual role. So they
Mhm.
both must feel the need that they are wanted and they are appreciated. And something else you mentioned was policies. That's what the school board member would assist along with their colleagues
Mhm.
is approving policies. A lot of times I've learned that for certain districts, we are approving policies that we are stating, but they're only applicable to certain groups or certain areas. It's not across the board. And as you alluded to, it needs to be for the best interest of our children. I don't think that our school board members are getting that feedback from our constituents to find out exactly, hey, what would they like to see? Or
Exactly.
what is the input? Because some of the people who may be on the board, and this is just a personal belief, I feel is if they should have some type of classroom educational background experience. If you've never worked in a classroom, then how can you be a part of a school board? You don't have the knowledge or the wherewithal to be able to demonstrate as well as share the information so that the constituents can feel as if, okay, well, from both sides of the spectrum, from being a parent, from being an educator,
That's right.
So kind of elaborate on the policy piece, because I know that's a big piece that we have across the board, not just Hinds County, but just across the board about how the school board goes about adopting policies.
And you mentioned that, like, when people, and I'll just go back, I've been in the classroom for 17 years. I want to reiterate, I've been a classroom teacher for 17 years. But at the same time, in parallel, I've also been operating in the policy space.
Okay.
And so when people ask me, well, why did you get involved in the policy aspect of education? And so what I tell people is that we're in this classroom and we're doing these different things. We're instructing, we're doing all these different things in the classroom. I said, out of all the things that we do as educators, there's a policy attached to what we do, from what we teach, who we teach, how we teach, the information that we give off. There's a policy attached to that. And so what we typically have, we have people that, as you mentioned, that are in these positions of power, who are in these positions to dictate policy, who have never stepped foot in the classroom. And so I made it my personal mission to be somebody who not only was a classroom teacher, but also a policy person as well. Because again, so goes the policy, so goes the people in the classroom, and so goes what kids are learning. And so again, it's important because one of the things that the school board does is they are in charge of dictating curriculum. And that dictates what our children learn. And so that dictates what kind of citizens they will possibly be going forward. And so I tell people that, we talk about school funding, and school funding is a really big issue, probably one of the number one issues in this country. But what I tell people, the real fight is on control of the curriculum. That's really where the fight is. Who has control of the curriculum? If you control what the curriculum is, what the curriculum does, you can dictate what our kids know and how they may turn out for citizens as they get older. And so that's a very important role that the school board has. And so policy is extremely important. Because like I said, even from the food we eat in the cafeterias, from, like I said, maintenance, transportation. And with that being said, my wife and I, as I mentioned last time, we have a son who's nonverbal autistic. And so because of his diagnosis, he's in what's called Life Skills Academy. So he goes to a specialized school for what he has. And so after that, he has had to have been bused from our community, outside of our community, to get his education. And so you can see how that could be a challenge transportation wise. And so we've had some issues and some concerns regarding his transportation from our community to his community to where his school is. And so, again, when you talk about policy, these are the things that we're talking about. How can we address all children? Because as you mentioned, sometimes we have kids who are sometimes go unaddressed, or they go unnoticed, or they kind of fly below the radar.
Mhm.
And typically those are our children who are diagnosed with some type of special needs. Those are the kids, and sometimes they are in general ed classrooms, and sure you know it, because the teacher is not necessarily as equipped as he or she should be to address the needs of that child. Sometimes that child goes underserved. And so those children are sometimes, or oftentimes, or a lot of times, often overlooked. And so these are the things, when you peel back the layers, you go back to what type of training and education you have to address the needs of those types of children. If you peel back the layers, there's some type of policy attached to that.
Can I cut in for a second? Oh, can I cut in for a second?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Now here we go. Now I have an issue. Y'all know I'm transparent. I'm just gonna tell it how it is. So this is my problem that I have right now. So as everybody knows, we challenged and championed, I should say, education funding, fully funding education this last session. We fought it, and we fought, well, some of us fought it. I'm gonna say we, because I was one of the ones that fought to get more money. So what ultimately ended up happening is, and I represent 2 school districts, so Hinds County School District and Jackson Public Schools. Jackson Public Schools, we got an additional about $18 million for Jackson Public Schools. Hinds County School District, we were able to get close to $1 million. I think it was like 880,000. So we're just gonna say $1 million. Now, the concern that I have is, when all of these talks were going on about the budget, and even after it passed, can you guess how many school board members I heard from both, not just only Hinds County School District and Jackson Public Schools? Can you guess how many board members I heard from?
0.
I would say 0.
0. I didn't hear from any. 0. And the problem I have with that is, and George, you know this, and I know George knows because he know the bill better than I did, because he was calling me every day about it. But the thing with this new formula, it's a great formula that we have now, because we have 3 categories off the top of my head. So exceptional learners, ELL, English language learners, and kids from poverty-ridden communities are going to be getting more money. More money is allocated for these kids, and so that's why we were able to get more money for these districts. Now, the problem that I have without the school boards reaching out is, we have all of this extra money. If they don't know how to allocate it and spend it, where are we going to be? We cannot send this money. You don't even know, you're getting more money to make sure you're applying it the right way. But we had 0 school board members, but we had one very, very want to be informed candidate, which was George. George called me, because I'm going to tell you, when I voted no on the education bill the first time, George came and said, "What is going on? Why did you vote no on education?" And I broke it down to him and walked him through it. And after I did that, instead of George just saying, "Oh, okay," he said, "It makes sense to me." But every other day, George was still pushing me, asking me questions. What about this? What about that? And he was still on board with me. But George did something nobody else did. He came up to the Capitol and went and met with the chairman of the education committee to get a clearer understanding of it. And I told George what my concerns were. He told the chairman, hey, these are the concerns. And ultimately, I voted no on that bill 3 times, but the 4th time was the charm, because it came back and it was what we needed. So that advocacy piece is what we need. We need somebody that's going to understand legislation and that's going to champion and advocate it, because every school board member should have been up there at the Capitol when we were talking about education, to understand what we were trying to do and telling us what they wanted to do. I didn't get any calls, text messages, emails. They ain't sent a carrier pigeon up there to ask me about it. And so I'm not talking about anybody. I'm just speaking facts, and I'm being transparent, because for me, that's a problem, because I have children that go to Hinds County School District. With Hinds County School District, it services Byram, Mississippi. Well, in Byram, we have 400 new homes being built right in District 66 right now. We're the fastest growing community in the state of Mississippi. What's going to end up happening is, We got to be forward thinking because our school is going to be overpopulated and overcrowded. What are we going to do when we get to that point? And so when you're sitting there stagnant, just holding a position, that's not good enough for me. And when I ran for office, I told everybody, I said, look, I'm going to support people. I'm going to campaign for people that can help me do my job because I can send the money. But if I'm sending the money and y'all are not being good stewards of it, we're not going to get anywhere. That's why we're where we are right now, because we don't work together. We got to communicate and work together in order to make things better. Because I'm going to tell you, when it comes to education, I don't know what goes on in the school. That's not my area of expertise, but I depend on people like George, who's been in the school district for 17 years, to come and tell me. I can send $100 million out right now, but if it's not going in the right hands and it's not getting distributed appropriately, we're going to be in the same situation. When we look at Jackson Public Schools with school closures and things of that sort, it's because of mismanagement and misappropriation of resources. And the school board picks our teachers, they pick our superintendent, administrators, which trickles down to teachers and administration, and we have a problem. And so, y'all, people, we got to start taking this school board more serious than what we are. Okay, I'm getting off my tantrum now.
Oh, you good, Representative Nelson, and I appreciate you for educating me on the happenings in regards to education funding. And so that's the piece that I missed, and you brought it up, Representative Nelson, that the board approves the budget. They can decide and they can advocate what gets priority within the school budget or the district budget. And so with me, just like Representative Nelson just said, that education piece is very key. And so when I would call him and I would ask him questions about, decisions that he made and just things that's going on with the bill, he took the time to really educate me on it. And as he mentioned, I got a full understanding of what was going on in these education bills. And so I just want the people in Hinds County to know that with me, they got somebody who will take that drive down to the Capitol and ask questions and meet with people that I need to meet with in regards to education. And I will also bring that information back, to the community. And so that's a piece right there that definitely needs to be highlighted. And we definitely need to see more of our school board members going out into the community and actually educating our people on what's going on. And a lot of times I think it's because they don't necessarily know. So if they don't necessarily know themselves, how can they effectively educate the community? And so again, with me, you have somebody who will go down there and definitely get the answers needed to get and bring it back to the community.
So great. So we've hit on a couple more things that I want to elaborate on. I want to go back to the superintendent, and people may say, why does she keep going back to the superintendent? Well, that person is a key player. I hate to use it in this way, but it's just like a basketball team.
Sure.
The point guard is going to lay up the most points, period.
That's right.
So if the superintendent if that he or she person is not A game strong, then the district suffers drastically.
Absolutely.
And what people don't realize is if you have someone such as a superintendent who is not, where he or she needs to be, then you have 4 or 5 years where you have the stagnation, or either you have what the city of Jackson is going through. People are relocating, they're moving out of the city of Jackson because they don't see the education component being fulfilled. Because I'll use myself as an example. When you look at other cities or states, or you compare when you're relocating, the first thing any sensible individual will look at is if they have children, okay, you're going for the career purposes, but how are the school districts where I'm going? What will be beneficial for my children? And so as you alluded to, if you don't have the right people sitting at the table, voting on the right things, then again, we all suffer. And as Fabian alluded to, no board members calling him in regards to the appropriation of funding. In all transparency, that's very sad. I know that you mentioned, Mr. George, that, some of them may not know. And for some, I feel like it's not that they don't know. Now, I do, agree with you for that. But for some, too, I feel as if they just don't care, because we, as a people, get in seats and then we just sit there. Like Fabian alluded to earlier, we have no professional or personal level of growth we've established for ourselves. So we're just sitting in a seat, stagnant, not moving. Like you mentioned to Mr. Stewart, you're out visiting different areas, finding out what are the needs, what and people are saying, oh, I don't even know who my school board member is. that's really embarrassing because your children
That's
are
right.
going to a school district. You don't even know if you have issues. Well, if I can't get the superintendent on the phone, which 80% of the time you won't speak to the superintendent. You know, you have to go through channels. It's the assistant super for this. Well, backtrack. You have to go to the teacher, the principal, then get to the central office. So if I have an issue and I can speak to my school board member, my school board member can transfer that information to the superintendent. For instance, when are the school board meetings? Where is that information advertised at? And
That's
I
right.
think Hinds County needs to do, not only Hinds County, JPS needs to do a better job. We highlight everything else on the news. Let's put out, hey, this is the month of June. These are, you know, if this was school month, these are the dates that are set for school board meetings. Whether parents come or not, one thing you can never deny is the information was out there. Whether people receive it or not, the information was out there.
It's true. It's true. And you mentioned something earlier. As you mentioned, you alluded back to the superintendent and how key the superintendent is. And so I will say this, and I will go on record as a parent, and I will speak as a parent. And I'll step outside of the candidate for a second and really step into the shoes of a parent.
Okay.
And say that our current superintendent, Dr. Sanders, is somebody who I like his vision. I like his vision. This is his first year, you know, as superintendent of Hinds County, and I really like the vision that he has. And I will say, communication got a whole lot better, you know, under Dr. Sanders. And so I believe he's somebody that deserves a fair shake to see his vision go to fruition. You know, so he's somebody who is approachable, you know, somebody that you can go to. And I've had a couple of interactions with him, and I found him to be somebody who's very approachable. Sometimes you have people in certain positions, they seem up here, and you feel like you don't have access to the person,
Correct.
right? And that you just can't really reach out and touch them and
Correct.
really get the information. Well, he has shown me that he is somebody that you can actually have access to. He's
Right.
somebody that you can see yourself having a conversation with and really getting the answers that you need. He's somebody who has great energy. I don't think a lot of people realize how great or how important a certain level of energy is in education. It's like a classroom teacher. If you go into a classroom and you have dead energy, the classroom instruction is going to suffer.
Correct.
The same thing applies here. You know, you have a superintendent who's optimistic, who has great energy, who gives you a great vision. It makes you more optimistic in the direction of the school that the superintendent is going and the district may go. But the school board has to be behind the vision. The school board has to be behind that person and really help that person see that vision come to fruition.
Totally agree. Representative Nelson sent a comment in. He said whenever people with children relocate, they always look at the school district. They want to buy a home in a district. Well, it's good, primarily so they don't have to pay for private school, and that's a very key point. And when you stated, Mr. Stewart, about the superintendent, I applaud you for that. I have not had that level of interaction with him, but I'm definitely glad to see that you have, so that people can start supporting. Because so many times in so many cases we bash people for coming in because our favorite person may have left or chosen another career path. But I may not like you personally, but professionally, if you're able to get the job done, I need to support your vision. And as you stated, he's only one person, so he needs a team of school board members that will definitely help him support the vision of what he has that he sees that Hinds County has the potential to be, and not those who are fighting against him and or, you know, everything he says is a no-go. You know, you want to have some people that are supportive and people who are definitely advocating for the well-being of our school district. So definitely I appreciate that. Now we want to go back to classroom teacher because that's the major role for a school district. With you being in the classroom for 17 years, you've seen the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs. Listen, so you know what the once a month salaries look like versus
Absolutely.
you know that break from Christmas to January is a long time, seems like. So you know that. So that's another thing that I heard that you mentioned before that you were advocating for, as well as for teacher salary, because we mentioned about merit pay. I know some people feel as if, you know, been in the classroom 20 years, you deserve $100,000. You have someone been in the classroom 1 year, they deserve $10,000. So kind of elaborate on that as far as how the school board position will be.
Yeah, so that, and I tell people, I actually made a post on social media not too long ago. I said the class. Yeah, so that, I tell people, I actually made a post on social media not too long ago. I said the class. Yeah, so I tell people to some type of merit pay, right? I said you never see people talk about a public defender attaching a salary to a public defender is how many cases have they won. It's only the classroom teacher where people want to attach merit pay and want to attach test scores to their profession. And so, as you mentioned, that's not necessarily something that I support wholeheartedly. I can say that. But again, it's all about advocacy. You know, a lot of the decisions that are made are sometimes made at the Capitol. You know, certain bills and things are made, you know, at the Capitol. And so a school board member should also be the role of an advocate, as I mentioned. And so, and that's very key. But when you talk about salaries and things like that, the school board has the autonomy to dictate salary at certain school districts, which is why you have some districts that are making more money at certain districts than others, because that is also dictated by the school board. Also, you talk about the budget. How can the school board member, or how can a school board kind of move money around, or kind of situate the budget in a way that would allow for teachers to get paid more money? And so these are the things that a school board are able to kind of do. Again, it all comes down to the priority. You know, are we prioritizing our educators?
Okay.
Hey, can I cut in again real quick, y'all? Can y'all hear me?
Oh, we got somebody on
Thank
the
you for calling
call.
Reliable Representation.
I'm gonna get you off this call.
Yes, good evening. This is Cam Hancock. I was listening to your show, and I one deal, I don't know what the representative is, or not, but he said that this superintendent has a vision, and it's up to the community and the people to get behind this guy. Well, I've heard a lot of negative things about this superintendent. People don't really like some of the things he's doing. I can give you one example. The public school that's been vacated by our students because of the charter schools taking tax dollars and working in these schools, and they're selling to the private schools. That's a conflict of interest, I would think, because the public tax dollars belong to the people, and the private schools are ran by private entities that make money off the public school system, and that's exactly what's happening. Not only that, they're using state schools to make lunches for the charter schools. That's public taxpayer money. I think that's a conflict of interest. I think that is wrong. Now, you said this man had a vision, so since you understand his vision, why don't you explain that to the people while you're on air?
Well, let me.
So before he explains, we're going to release the call, and we'll allow you to listen to his explanation, and then you can give us a call back and you have a rebuttal to his response. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great one.
And I want to respond after George as well. You go first, George.
Okay, great. So regarding his question and his concern, to a large degree, he does have a point regarding, schools and charter schools. And I'm not a proponent at all of what's going on in regards to charter schools. And as I mentioned, I'm not opposed to school choice or charter schools. My issue is the district having to cut those charter schools a check in order for them to exist. Now, to his point, which is sometimes where the education piece kind of comes in at, right? He's talking about the superintendent of Jackson Public Schools.
Correct.
What I was referring to was the superintendent of Hinds County School District, right? And so that sometimes there's confusion there when you're talking about, because they're neighboring school districts for one, and of course Jackson is in the city of Jackson is located in Hinds County.
Correct.
So sometimes when we're talking about Hinds County School District, some people sometimes think you're talking about Jackson Public Schools, when in fact JPS is its own, Jackson Public Schools is its own school district. Hinds County School District is its own separate school district. So to his question, to his point, I was referring to the superintendent of Hinds County School District, not Jackson Public Schools.
And I want to respond as well if I can.
Sure.
And so just so the caller will understand, let me tell you the way the formula is for charter schools. Right now, a charter school cannot come to Hinds County School District. Charter schools can, when they, because I wasn't there, but when they wrote the legislation in such that charter schools can only come to a failing school district. But now let me give you a caveat to that. Also in this legislation, it states that if a charter school wants to come into a non-failing school district, it can with the approval of the school board. So that's why it's important to know where your school board stands, because your school board can say, and now just so I'm transparent, Hinds County School District has never said this. The school board, I've never heard anybody say that. But if the school board elects to allow charter schools to come in, they can, but there are no talks of that, happening. But once again, that's why it's so important when we talk about school board that, we're doing those things. But we're going to make sure the caller, he can call back in, if he wants to talk about it further. But I want to cut in because for some reason, our comments are not coming up. I'm looking on my Facebook page, and there's a few comments that I want to throw out there to y'all that y'all can address. Okay. And so Miss Pamela Shields says that, and that's one of my favorite constituents from Byram. She says that she has a grandson that's on the spectrum, and she needs a school in the Byram area that will meet his educational needs. And she wants to know if you have any suggestions.
That's a great question. You mean, are you referring to I wonder if you're referring to maybe like a particular, like a specialized school in the Byram area? If that's what she's asking, that's something my wife and I are still kind of addressing, like whether or not what resources are actually in the Byram area. So to the question, as of right now, I can't necessarily think of a school in the Byram area, and that's the challenge, and that's the advocacy piece, right? And how are we getting out there and educating people on these particular issues that a lot of us families are facing? And so if there's no advocacy, if there's no organizing around it, then we're not able to get these resources brought. So that's one of the things that I definitely support and advocate for, because again, I live in the Byram community, and because my son is nonverbal, he had to go to a school in Raymond to get educated. And so when I mentioned earlier about him being bused out of his community, he had to go outside of Byram and go to Raymond to get educated. And so now I think I was told that he'll be moving back to Byram Middle School next year. But these are the things that we as parents are having to deal with, because the resources are not there, so we don't have people out there helping to advocate and speak on our behalf. We're not getting the resources in our community. And so, but I'm not really quite sure as of yet, but that's something that we're definitely looking into.
And so I want to bring this full circle, George. So the thing is, like I was telling you, with this new funding model, we have more money. So an autistic child will receive more funding than a child that's not autistic. And so with that being said, now we can put resources, if we have the right leadership, we can put the proper resources in those schools. So your child will not have to go all the way to Raymond. Our kids need to be able to go to school right within their district. What I'm gonna do, George, I'm gonna connect. I know Pamela's information. I'm gonna connect y'all together because she actually is in your district as far as school board. And so I'm gonna get y'all together, and then maybe you can kind of have a one-on-one with her. I got one more question or comment. Yeah, I got one more question that came in from Mr. Rodney Lewis that says, as we are growing, what are we going to do to make sure we have good qualified educators?
That's a great question.
I told when you come on reliable representation, our folks, they ask the good questions on here.
So for number one, we have to make sure that our educators feel supported.
That's key.
There's this thing that exists now where teachers are being treated as if they are expendable. They're not treated as professionals. They're not treated as somebody who is the expert in what's going on. And so they typically, yes, sir. So they don't feel supported. And so what we need to do is make sure they feel as if they are the expert, making sure that they are involved in the decision-making process. A lot of times our educators get left out of the decision-making process. That's number one. And number two, we have to pay our teachers better. I mean, across the board, when you ask a teacher why they're leaving the classroom, when you ask them why they moved to another district, either number one, no lower than number two, is because of pay. So we have to figure out a way to pay our teachers better. And so I think those two things, for number one, making sure that they're getting paid better and making sure that they feel a part of the decision-making process.
And I think that goes back to George as well, going back to the school board role. When we're having these conversations and we're sitting, like you stated, we're talking about budgets. Let's raise the bar up. I have had this conversation with some colleagues earlier this week. We keep talking about we're not retaining quality. Well, you won't retain quality if you don't pay.
That's
It's
right.
really, in essence, you get what you pay for. If
That's
you
right.
put nothing in, you're definitely not gonna get anything out. And like you stated, the teacher is not being asked any questions. Decisions are just being made and told, hey, you're gonna have to deal with it, in a sense. Versus if you have us at the table or have them at the table, when I say us, I mean community, teachers, whatever, you have everybody in the room. Give everybody a chance to state their claim.
That's right.
What is the issues? What are the issues that are plaguing you? What can I do to support you to help you become better professionally?
That's right.
A lot of times you don't know that when you keep people out of the equation. And it goes back to, again, you have people at the table who are making decisions who are not in these shoes. If you've always had a silver spoon in your mouth, you don't know how it feels to wait a whole month and you're only making $1,000.
That's right.
But now, if you've been at the lower bottom of the totem pole, then you know what a teacher is feeling. Her first year, she's trying to pay her house note, has a small child she has to take care of, and she's only bringing home $1,000. We'll say $1,500 at the most
That's right.
a month. That's no money, and you can't survive. So again, you're going out to neighboring districts. Responsibilities are going to be less.
That's right.
Classroom to teacher ratio is going to be less.
Mm-hmm.
The support is going to be better.
That's
So
right.
there's so many different factors.
And let me say this. A lot of people get this notion that, or they get the idea because we often talk about, we do it for the kids, we love the kids, and this and that, and all these different things, which we do. We love our kids, we want to see them succeed in all of that. But because teachers have the heart for this work,
Mm-hmm.
they feel like that's enough, and we should. But I want to make it clear that educators are professionals. They are professionals. You have teachers that go off to get their master's degrees. We have teachers with PhDs in the classroom, EDDs, right. And so they're going on and getting this higher level of education, but they're not getting paid for it. So I want people to recognize, or people to understand, that educators are professionals. And we got a huge glimpse of that during the pandemic, right? When everything shut down and we went virtual, people really saw just how professional educators are. And so I'm hoping as we're coming out of this on the other side of it, people really recognize how professional educators are, and that educators want to get paid as such. And so these are the things, again, when you ask teachers why they quit and did something else, because because the educator's skills transfer. They can transfer to several other different jobs, and so what you find educators who are able to transition out of the classroom and go make lots of money doing other things. And so there's so many other educators can do, but what we want to do is maintain and retain them, And so again, when you talk about that, it starts with, if not number one, number two, it's about the money. A lot of our educators are going to school, and a lot of them are going in debt, trying to get this higher level education. So just know that a lot of our schools have PhDs in your child's classroom.
Right.
Hey, got another comment that came in. So this is from Tamika Jenkins. So she says that public schools should be equipped to serve all youth, but many times parents find out the services that children need aren't available. And I'm gonna give y'all an example of this, and both of y'all know this. Y'all two educators, so I probably need to leave this alone. But a lot of children suffer from dyslexia, and what's happening is it's hard to diagnose for a normal person that doesn't understand what dyslexia is. So thankfully, what we did this year, we passed legislation to provide specialists in every school district that specialize in dyslexia to kind of help these kids. And the ones, when they realize they have kids, we're going to give them specialized education, because we have a dyslexia school down in Petal, Mississippi, that, people that send their kids. Could you imagine sending your baby all the way down to Petal, Mississippi? And so with that comment, that makes a lot of sense. So thank you, Ms. Jenkins, for sending that in there.
Okay, we have a call, Representative Nelson. Give us just a moment.
Okay.
Thank you for calling Reliable Representation. How may we help you?
Hi, I'm a grandmother with the Jackson Public School area. The particular school that I'm talking about is Provine High School. And I heard y'all conversation. You're so very right. With our educators, they need to be paid. They need to be treated right. They need to be respected. But also, I want to make a comment. we as parents, some of us are very educated also.
Mm-hmm.
And when we go in and see situations going on in our schools, and you go to the principal and the person in charge, and you voice what you have observed and things that you think that help to improve your school, and you kind of shout to the side, and nobody wants to hear you. Now, Dr. Green, that's over Jackson Public School, there's some things at Provine High School that I have personally went to them and voiced, like raining in the building, cleaning the school up, making sure the grounds look good, trees that's fallen needs to be cleaned up. A lot of things that we can do, and we wonder why sometimes the scholars are leaving our schools and going elsewhere. Well, it's just like in your neighborhood. You want to keep everything up. And when the neighborhood going down, people go to moving out. So to help keep us together, we need, and I mean we, the village, need to come together and work together. No big eyes, no little U's, and stop this buddy friendship thing and get the job done. And don't worry about what the others are doing. If we do what we're supposed to do in our schools, with our teachers, with our parents, with the community, the scholars will learn, the teachers will get paid and be treated right, and the parents will be the cheerleaders.
Thank you so much for your call, caller. We definitely agree with some of the sentiments that you've made.
Thank you so very much.
Bye-bye.
Look, I'm gonna tell you, she got me ready to shout. And when she was saying what she said, that made me think back to the movie Lean on Me back in 1989 with Joe Clark. When he went into that school to clean the school up, and he went in the cafeteria and he saw how they had cages in the cafeteria to separate the kids. And he said, take these cages down, because if you treat them like animals, they're gonna behave like animals. When our children walk in schools, they need to have pride when they walk in those schools. Children should not have to go to schools where it's leaking in the building. So I agree with her 100%. We need to take our schools back.
And you know, she mentioned something very key. She said that parents are educated as well. And so I also want to make this clear as well. Yes, educators are professionals. We are professionals. I say we. But parents are the experts of their children. And
Very
we
true.
must treat them as
such.
such. And so oftentimes when I'm going into IEP meetings with my son, and again, my son is nonverbal autistic, my wife and I are very clear that when we go in that meeting, we are the expert of our children. And so we must recognize and we must realize that parents are indeed experts of their children.
Now, I wanted to allude to this. Like you said, Fabian, I really wanted to shout when she came through, because Jackson Public Schools has my heart, because I'm a proud proponent of that. But some of the things she stated, in all transparency and honesty, she's not lying. People have to learn how to receive constructive criticism. If something is not going on, you have to respect the fact that someone has brought it to your attention, acknowledge the problem, and let's find out a solution for the problem, versus throwing on the back burner. When you find parents or individuals, community people who are advocating to say, hey, let me help you clean your school up, I want to jump on it, because you don't find that every day when people want to say, hey, I want to help you clean your school up.
That's right.
So that's a key issue that she mentioned. And people, as far as Jackson Public Schools, definitely need to take heed to that. You're closing schools, but then you have those that are open that are still in deplorable conditions. So how are we going to address that? Or are we going to close all the schools and just put everybody in one school because of the non-maintenance that have went on for years, has now surmised to this big problem that is more than what we can bargain for to address? Or do we address the elephant in the room and come together and say, hey, I need help over here. How can you all help me? Let's pull together and get the resources that we need to get the help that we need.
So Brittany, here we go. So like I told you, Jackson Public Schools is getting an additional $18 million this school year. And so, like you said, we have schools that are closing. So we have schools that are closing. That means those are expenses coming off the books. And so when we're doing this reconsolidation or whatever it is, I'm going to make sure that this money is going to where it needs to be going. Because when you consolidate something, consolidation means we're making something better. It doesn't mean that we're closing one thing down and the thing that we're moving. We're not going to move our children into a school, an overcrowded school, and not have enough staff and have it raining in the building. because we're consolidating because we need to make repairs and do things of that sort. And so we're going to make sure that this money is being spent the way that it needs to be spent.
Right.
Give us just a second. Thank you for calling Reliable Representation. How may we help you?
I just want to say, I know it's a funny process because you don't see it often in our community, but they really need to build some new schools because some of these schools, I guess they've been in operation since the 50s or the 40s, 30s, you know what I'm saying? In the Black community, these schools old and really need to be torn down and and build new schools, new state-of-the-art schools, new more than 20, 24 schools. So there's only so much you can do with a school that was built in the 30s and the 40s and people graduated from it in 1957, and you still got kids going to it to this day. Of course, it's going to be dilapidated and having problems. It's not going to be a great environment to have kids in today. They need to build better schools like the schools outside of Jackson public schools. They look modern. I don't understand that. I can't understand that to the life of me. You understand? But I know it got a lot to do with money. But that's what needs to happen. They need to build some new schools. The schools are old. High schools are old. The schools old. They need new schools. Section 24 schools. That's what they need overall.
Okay, thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate your comment.
Look, I want to shout a few people out. Look, before Handyman put us off the show, before he put us off the air, got to send some shout outs out. So definitely want to shout out Miss Lisa Lawson for always tuning in. We appreciate you. Miss Pamela Shields for always tuning in. Mr. Rodney Lewis for always tuning in. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm going to push it on back to you. I said to make sure I have to acknowledge our friends over here.
Well, definitely,
Awesome.
We agree with him, and we'll definitely have this part 2 version next Thursday. We'll continue. So, Mr. George, add us back into your schedule.
I sure will.
Yeah,
So,
we want you back because we got a lot of unpacking this stuff to do.
so we would definitely pick this conversation back up. As the caller alluded to, we definitely need to build some new schools, but that's a strategy process. It's like an onion with different layers that have to be unfolded.
That's
I
right.
definitely agree that, we are definitely in need of that. But again, we have to take steps toward that, and those are baby steps. And I don't think right at this very moment, we have the correct leadership that can orchestrate that new move. But while we do have what we have, we definitely can reorganize and re-strategize and clean up what we do have, because I don't know, everyone's background or biblical religion history, but God says if you take care of what he's already given you, he'll bless you with more.
Amen.
He's not going to give you any more. You're not taking care of what you already have, because he knows that you won't be a good steward if he blesses you with any more. But that's my little comment to the end of the show. For this evening, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Stewart for his final comments.
Well,
We're gonna let him take us on home. Come on, Pastor, take us on out of here now.
Well, just thank y'all again for allowing me on y'all's platform to talk to your audience. I really appreciate it. Again, if you got nothing else from me, just know that you have somebody in me who has a heart for children, who have a heart for the community, who will go out and help get things done. Again, I'm at the second phase of my campaign, which is to get my petition signed. And so I will be out in your community. So please don't slam your doors in my face. I need your signatures if you live in Hinds County School Board District 3. Again, you have somebody who will fight, who will advocate for not only the children, but the parents. With me, you have a school board member who believes that the school board should be inclusive of the community and not exclusive.
Okay. Well, we thank you so much, Mr. George. We look forward to seeing you next Thursday, same time.
All right.
And don't turn that music on that quick.
Leave Handel on Handy. We got one more minute, Handy.
Tuning in, you safe and be blessed. We'll see you all next Thursday.
All right. Well, y'all heard everything y'all need to hear. So it was a very good show. We appreciate all of y'all for tuning in. We are sorry about the technical issues because we couldn't see our comments. But thank y'all for weighing in. Thank y'all for tuning in. And we're going to keep it moving. And I see Representative Brown over there. Look, I miss seeing Representative Brown every day since we're not in session right now. But a great guy, and we're going to get some stuff done very soon. So y'all have a great evening. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all same place, same time. And George, we're going to bring you back on because you got the phones ringing today.
Fabian, Representative, Something.
How much do I owe you for that frame, man? That was some kind of frame.
You don't owe me anything. Look, look, that was payback for everything you done taught me. So you did such a good job getting me ready for the session. So that's, I'm paying it forward.
It was a lot of stuff, had a lot of compliments on it.
Wow, we want to make sure we take care of our people.
And
Yeah, look, I'm out of town still, so please keep on holding it down for me until I make it back.
All right.
right,
All
thank
right.
you.
Now, thanks again, Representative Nelson. I'll see y'all next time.
That's it. Sound good. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on. All right, y'all have a good one.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. All right, everybody. We just finished up our show, the Reliable Representation Show. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We have so many visitors on the show tonight. All of my classmates that are here at Harvard University in this program with me, they tuned in to kind of see what we do in Mississippi and how Mississippi politics works. And so we are, once again, we're going to have Mr. Stewart back on our show next. Y'all see my eyes water. No, I'm not emotional. The pollen is falling here, so my allergies have been running and acting up all day. But next week, please tune in again so we can continue this discussion on education. And what we will be doing is, I may have a surprise for y'all. May have some of my fellow cohorts coming on the show. So some of my classmates may be coming in and kind of talk to y'all about what we have going on in other parts of the country. But I'm getting off of here because I gotta study. We got a lot going on, so I got to study tonight. And as you know, we have the playoffs here. The Boston Celtics are playing somebody. It starts at 8:30, so in about 28 minutes. So I may try to sneak a little bit of the game in. But once again, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, we appreciate all of the questions. We answer every single call. It's no question that's off limits, because that's what makes us better. When you call in and question things and ask us, why is it going this way? That's how we learn and that's how we grow. So we want to make sure we always keep an open dialogue to all of our listeners and viewers. So once again, we appreciate y'all so much. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see y'all next week, same time and same place. Until next time, continue to love each other, love yourselves, love your community, and love none other than your most favorite representative, none other than me, Fabian Nelson from Mississippi House District 66, the best district around. Y'all have a great week, and I'll see y'all next week.